Hi everyone, welcome to Free Devs and a Maybe, the podcast for PHP lovers, mainly looking at beginner level PHP and working our way up. And today we are going to be looking at HTML. And as always, I'm joined by three great web developers, Lewis Keynes.
Hello.
Fraser Hart.
Hello.
And Ed Mann.
Hello.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Whoa, what is that?
That's the chair already, isn't it?
That's the sofa saying hello.
Oh, the leather.
The leather.
The fifth co-host.
Yeah. He's probably better than all of us, to be honest.
Probably.
Oh, it's a he. How do you know it's a he? We shouldn't get into that conversation.
I'd rather not explain that. Whoa, easy.
Dear.
Apologies.
Yeah. So, how have you guys all been?
Very well. Yeah, it's been a bit of a standard. Well, not a standard week, but it's been a pretty uneventful week for me. Apart from getting angry at Reddit, like I was explaining earlier. But yeah, no. Apart from that, it's been fine.
Yeah, same project.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's getting towards the end now. Like the guy that I'm doing the project for, he's given me a list of, or I say a list. It's more like an encyclopedia of stuff of minor tweaks, like minor being in quotation.
That's the
absolutely.
Minor.
Yeah, I couldn't quite realise that the finger quotes didn't come out over radio, but yeah. So I've been working through those, and I'm literally down to the last 2 or 3 now. So hopefully I'll be able to get onto something new and exciting. Not that this isn't exciting, but it'd be nice to be on something fresh anyway.
That is the best time, isn't it? The end of the project when
Absolutely.
you start to see everything come to fruition.
Yeah, because it's just been kind of like knuckles to the grindstone for the last, I think, probably about 6 months. I've been working on this now. And it's a good fun project, but it's when you're working on the same thing non-stop for 6 months, it does get a bit tedious. So I'm looking forward to getting my teeth stuck into something new, and I'm going to be working with one of the front end JavaScript frameworks that I've been looking forward to working with as well, which is finally a good thing.
Oh, amazing! Which one?
I'm leaning towards Ember just because I like the picture of the hamster.
That sold it, to a lot of people.
Yeah, the Angular one looks a bit too formal, whereas like the Ember one looks a bit more playful. And I want one of the stickers for the back of my laptop as well. So I can't quite justify getting one of those until I've actually started playing with Ember. So,
oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've played with Angular. I think I've said before, but
yeah,
no, that sounds cool. You have to let us know how you get on with that then.
No, absolutely. I'm looking forward to getting getting into it. Yeah.
Sounds good. Lou, how's your week been?
Hello. Yeah, it's not been too bad a week. It's been very, very busy. I've been fighting and losing with SQL for most of the week.
Oh yeah.
It's been a succession of triumph followed by misery, to be honest. With it,
isn't that just programming?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, but basically, I haven't messed around with joins too much. I mean, give me just one table to work with. I'm pretty competent and feel comfortable doing whatever I need to do. But I've never really had the need to use joins before. Not in any great depth anyway. And part of the site that I've been building, I've been basically made this whole functionality for display ordering, so that I can have this kind of jQuery UI sortability thing that you can use, where you can just drag boxes around and change the display order.
Yeah.
I've basically been trying to build one central place in the website where all that gets handled, and everything else sort of comes back to that. So all the other tables need to be able to join with this display ordering table. And then occasionally there's a third-party table introduced as well, and been messing around with left joins and the ordering of, where do the wheres go and the ands go, and then bringing in all the PDO binding parameters and all that stuff to it as well. It's been very, very tricky and challenging, but I believe I've come to a solution that I've absolutely no idea whether it would be considered orthodox or textbook or anything like that. But I think I finally got to a solution, and that's the main thing.
Was that in the end using the having that you were using in the MySQL query?
No. Yeah, I put a very excited tweet out, didn't I? I thought it was quite witty, actually. Unfortunately that backfired. No, it was completely without that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the toughest bit I was finding was where obviously joining two tables together, and one of the tables might not have data in that the other one does.
Yeah.
So trying to write an SQL query that joins both the tables but still gives you all the data that you need from each table has been a brilliant learning curve, and I believe that I've certainly grown with my SQL abilities this week from doing that. But to me, SQL is one of the scarier languages. It's so powerful, isn't it? And
yeah,
I know a lot of people out there don't really like SQL that much and think it's a bit of a rubbish language, but to me, I think it's pretty cool. It's been really fun to work with it in a bit more depth this week.
Well, that's why a lot of people use like eloquent and active record patterns, don't they? Because they want the ORM. They want to be thinking of it as objects and stuff.
Yep.
Instead of going in with actually SQL, the declarative language, and it is, as I say, it's a pretty powerful language, and it's a really easy language in a sense to actually understand, because you can see when you actually read it and everything, you can understand what's going on very well because it's declaring it. It's just saying what you want instead of how to do it.
Yeah,
I think it's. Oh, sorry, man. Go.
That's all right. All I was going to say was that, particularly with joins, the only other times really where I've been in the situation that I need to do it, I've kind of picked the brains of another developer that I worked with, and he did his completely differently. He used to basically use all the tables to build up arrays of the information that he wanted, and then just merge the arrays together, which was a slightly different. Yeah.
Oh god, that's so not good. Let the database do the optimizations.
Yeah, exactly. I thought
in code do the array merging and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what he did. He basically, like, if it's posts and categories, he built up a posts array and a categories array, and just merged them both together into another array. But he wasn't actually doing any of the complex merging or joining through SQL. He was just doing it through joining PHP arrays.
Oh no!
Which
I'm
guessing
you're still managing that code as well, aren't you? So you kind of have to go with that way in some cases. I suppose
I see it occasionally, but thankfully not a lot. But
how did you enjoy SQL Fiddle?
Oh, that's the thing that's really cool, actually, isn't it? That's the first time I'd seen that, actually. Thanks to Ed last week. Ed chimed in, I don't know, towards the end of last week, at one point when I was struggling with some of this stuff and got the ball rolling nicely. And this SQLfiddle.com, you can just literally put your SQL schema and data into there, and you can collaborate online and
nice.
kind of help. You get, if you contact someone online or something, and you just say, "Oh, is anyone able to help me with an SQL query or something like that?" I don't know, through like an IRC chat room or something like that. You can both go into this SQL Fiddle site and collaborate on it there. It's brilliant.
It's awesome. It supports so many different databases as well. Like it supports like the web databases where it's actually just in the browser. It supports MySQL. Sorry,
Yeah.
It supports Microsoft SQL, Postgres, and it's just as like Lou was saying. Like you just paste in the schema that you have, and then pasting some queries, and it will just run them for you in a controlled environment that you can then start, like JS Fiddle and stuff, send around the web, go Stack Overflow, IRC and stuff, and yeah, it really is awesome.
I'll tell you one thing that I'd be interested to see if you guys know of anything. I was kind of looking for like SQL debugging tools, like to try and see. Like I remember when obviously working with you guys, we used Navicat, didn't we?
Yeah.
And there's some quite cool features on there, which I don't think they've got on SQL Pro, which is what I use.
You can use on the when you're like doing the actual query, I think you can do like explain. You can say there's the keyword explain and then select, and what that would do is actually just show you what's happening under the hood, how it's joining them all together. Because I know that's explain. It's a nice way, because what it does is it tells you like what IDs are used. So like with indexing, it will show you saying, oh look, this probably you want to make this indexed and stuff, because we're using this and we're having to do. The one thing you never want to do is have to do a line by line search, a record by record search in databases. That was one thing actually before. Probably actually, me being a programmer, I'm very used to iterating over records and stuff. But in the database way, indexing is powerful. B trees are powerful. So yeah, explain. Just if you put explain before your query, that should give you a lot more information.
Literally explain select all from posts?
Yeah, and it should. And what it would do is it would tell you what's actually happening and how quick it is and stuff like that, which is quite cool.
I had no idea about it. I'm literally, I've got SQL Pro open here. You guys carry on for a moment. I'm going to have a little play with that.
That gives you the same information that, say, PHPMyAdmin spits back at you, doesn't it? I think it's the same sort of info.
Yeah. It's like Navicat as well. Like all they do is they run the query and they can run it again with the explain on it. It just gives it in a nice view. I mean, I do like Navicat a lot. It is a really good product. I mean, they're really weird because the way they've done it, I mean, they've got like, oh yeah, you've got Navicat for MySQL, Navicat for Postgres, Navicat for blah, blah. So they kind of can make a big business out of using getting the same tools and just marketing it for certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that looks like a really cool website, actually, that SQL Fiddle. I'll definitely have to check that out at some point.
Have a little fiddle.
Yeah.
Have a little fiddle, indeed, yeah. How about you then, Ed, man? Good week?
Yeah, it's been a good, man. Pretty standard, to be honest. Still with the freelance stuff. Met you on Sunday? No, Saturday. Saturday. Went to Canterbury. Met you. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Is this drinking or not drinking?
We had one pint in Canterbury. Like, where is it? It's in Canterbury, where the cathedral is and stuff.
Yeah, by the cathedral.
And then we were all completely out of it. It was a Peroni each, and we were all just feeling tipsy.
I was quite embarrassed, to be honest with you. Even by my standards, it was pretty poor.
Well, I was with you, which was, I was feeling as drunk. It was quite weird.
Did you get a kebab? Peroni or a bottle?
We didn't go with no kebab. It was a pizza place.
No kebab.
Went for pizza, and Edman started chatting up the waitress, but that's a story for another time, I guess.
Was she fit?
She was.
She wasn't. She was all right.
Bud is the guy who likes Nicki Minaj, so we really can't judge him, can we? Like, he can't be used as a judge of female beauty. Anyway, moving on from that. Other than that, the conversation we had last week about CDNs and stuff and fallbacks, like that really, like, because on one of the project I'm doing now, the freelance stuff, we use Bootstrap a lot, and I merge it in and I compress it and everything locally. But I was looking at CDNs. I was like, well, maybe it'd be quite good. Things we were doing, I do CDN, jQuery and stuff using Google and stuff. But I thought, well, the conversation that Lou brought up and you brought up, Mickey, I think, was like, well, once if it doesn't work, if the CDN doesn't work, that's always the problem, isn't it? You need a fallback, and there are fallback ways of being able to get stuff like jQuery, because you can just check if the jQuery has been set. If it's not defined, then we can just go write a document right. But I thought maybe there'd be some plugins and stuff out there, and I've got a blog post I've almost finished writing, and there'll be a couple of pics definitely this week from it. But there was some really cool. There's a couple of really good blog posts that I'll put in the show notes for them, but. Have any of you ever heard of? You've got require.js.
Yeah,
that's quite cool. That allows for fallbacks. Like you can say load this, and if it doesn't work, if it is like doesn't give a status 200 error or status 200 code, it will then try and load up the other one. Nope's another good one. I don't know if you ever looked at Nope. I think Lewis, you played around with that a little bit.
I did. Yeah, I was following some tutorials the other day, and I saw that, and I'm trying to think how that worked. Was that that was a thing for Modernizer, wasn't it? I think it's bundled in. It's bundled into Modernizer, and it's just saying like, oh, can you do this if you can't do this? And that's a nice thing, because it's like what it does is it tries to load something up. It then gives you the ability to say, oh, is jQuery loaded by working out is Bootstrap, because Bootstrap's a very hard one to find out if it's loaded or not, and you end up having to check if a JavaScript plugin's actually available or something. Right. But yeah, that was another good one. And then the one that I actually started to use and implement is using Fallback, fallback.io, and that's great. That's kind of like specifically designed to just do what I want, which is try and load this up. If you can't load it, then please, use my version that's local. And I mean, it's quite funny actually the way that a couple of examples were checking, because how do you check if CSS is being loaded? Like the Bootstrap CSS, what they do is actually check in JavaScript to say, oh, is the background color the right color that would be, passed in through the CSS and stuff, which is quite funny. But yeah, that's pretty been my week. That's going into my project, Ed, actually, in my site, that fallback.io. That's exactly what I need there.
Awesome. It is really awesome. The ability to just, I mean, all I want to do is just set, if you try and load this, if you can't load this, load my local one, because you don't want the client. And I mean, obviously it's very unlikely that Google are ever going to go down, but it's nice to have that backup in place. And really, you should be keeping the assets that you should keep a local copy, especially when you're developing and stuff, of the assets that you use, and not rely on the an external, because what happens if the internet goes down when your development environment, you really need it all locally as well. And this kind of has this nice graceful fallback.
I think, but I might be talking complete rubbish here, but I'm pretty sure that require.js comes bundled into Angular as well, because I was playing with it a little while ago, because I think require.js goes a little bit further. It's like a dependency manager as well, isn't it, where if you're building large scale JavaScript applications that you can say, okay, well, if I've got this and I need to have this library loaded, if I'm doing this, I need that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Yeah, I mean, it kind of is a bit weird because normally what you do at the end of the project is merge all of it together into like a couple of files. So it kind of, in that environment, but it is a nice way as you say, like, oh, I need jQuery for this, but before, or maybe the example is I need jQuery UI, but before jQuery UI, I need to have loaded jQuery and stuff like that. Yeah, and then run this closure or this, function block or something.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's good.
How about you, Bud? How's your week been?
Oh, well, like you say, I met up with you on Saturday. That was pretty cool. We, as well as having a few drinks and stuff, we going to play with PHP Unit and Selenium, which was really good. So that's something I've been wanting to play with for a little while, and thankfully you helped me set that up. So that was pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to using that some more now and doing some bigger tests and
How did you enjoy the? Did you have a chance to play around more with the screenshotting features of Selenium?
I did, yeah. I mean, basically, I was testing out a website for work, and basically, I just made a script that just looped over every URL in the site and just took a screenshot of every single page. Which it sounds quite simple, but it's quite a cool thing to then send to the client. Say, look, we've tested every single page on your site to check what's come back.
Yeah,
and they could just view it in like a slideshow, just looking at the images. So it looks like you've done a lot of work, even though you've only taken 10 seconds to run a script. So it's definitely something I'd recommend. But like I said, it's something I need to learn a bit more about before I could talk about it.
And how does it actually take the screenshots? Because obviously it's just going to be reading code, isn't it? Or can it?
So what it does is, what we did, we installed it locally rather than on a remote host.
Yeah.
And basically what it does, it literally just fires open your Firefox.
Oh, right.
And literally, you can see it opening and closing. Every time it opens a web page, it opens, closes, and just takes a physical screenshot.
Yep.
And just saves it to your local drive. So,
gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. So,
can we be expecting a blog post?
You can at some point, but my life is pretty hectic at the minute with Review and I think I can announce formally now that the big dog will soon be having a pup in August. It is official.
You're getting a dog.
I assume you're talking about yourself there, aren't you? You're not talking about your wife, because that would be really, really offensive.
That would be really bad, wouldn't it? I am talking about myself, yeah.
In August. It's going to be an August baby.
An August baby,
That's the best month to be born.
Is that when you were born?
Ouch, but yes it is.
Oh, congratulations, Michael.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, sir.
You're going to be calling it Fraser, yeah?
Oh, you know it.
Fraser, Ed.
I'll hold you to that. It's on record now.
Yeah, we've got it recorded. This is it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not sure how I feel about the possibility of two of you running around, but I'll get over it.
Yeah, so we had the first scan this week, so that was pretty cool. To see it on TV and stuff was pretty awesome. It's only like
TV.
Yeah.
Did it have your hair?
Those jokes.
It looked like it had my hair. But yeah, it's only 5 centimeters long, so it's pretty incredible. So
when do you get to find out when the gender is?
I think
I'd like to see a baby who's a female called Fraser. That would be hilarious.
Frasina, I'll make an exception. People call Frasina.
That is a beautiful name. I think 6 months, but I don't really want to know. I think Abby does, but we'll see.
What are you hoping for? Play it back if it's not this birthday.
The kid's going to listen
when
to
the
this
kid
when
turns
he's like,
18, it was like,
you didn't want me.
It would be too bad for me to say, but a boy, basically. Yeah, I want a boy, definitely.
Yeah,
You're going to call it Rodney?
On her 18th birthday, we're going to take her out drinking and play her this. So you're a disappointment to your father.
I will not let you near my 18-year-old daughter, rest assured. Anyway, let's move on. But that's my crazy week. And got my object-oriented programming exam tomorrow, and just started my 2 modules on concurrency and intelligent systems. So that is it. There's a lot of stuff to balance at the moment with work and uni, and I say same stuff every week, but it's a lot of work. So, but enjoying it. It's really, really interesting, especially the concurrency stuff. If anyone's listening who's just getting into Java or something, it's something I recommend looking into. It's really interesting, And even this week, like some of the basics of computing that I didn't really know about, especially hardware things like how a CPU works. I've just been reading a lot about that, and how gates work and all that kind of stuff, and transistors. And it's actually quite interesting when you think that we're actually at a really critical point in the history of computing where, okay, so it's probably 2004, 2005. They literally can't make CPUs or cores any quicker. They've just reached that point where they can't do anything more. So they're having to just include more and more cores. And, and now it's down to the software developers to make sure that we're dealing with it. So, all those years we've been relying on people to keep making computers quicker. Now it's completely changed. Everyone's looking at us now to deal with that. Not so much in the web game, I guess, but yeah, it's really interesting.
Well, PHP, obviously, if you want to do multi-threading in PHP.
Oh man, yeah.
What a lovely hate. But by the way, you should have said P threads, and P threads are awesome.
What are P threads then? You tell me.
So the idea is, it's pretty new actually, but normally when you want to do multitasking or multi-thread, multi-processing, I suppose, better way of learning it, in PHP you use something called forking, which actually just make run another instance of PHP, maybe giving it some input and stuff, and then getting an output. That's a bit of a hack. But what P threads are called POSIX threads. POSIX is like a standard for threading. Because a thread actually can share memory and state and stuff, where the process on its own actually, can't do that. So the idea of P threads then is actually hooking into that, and actually in the same way that you can define threads in Java with extending threads and all that, you can do the exact same in PHP, and it's amazingly awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, like I say, one of my lecturers was slagging off PHP this week, but another one, and he is like, I think, really renowned for his skills in concurrency. He's a big lover of PHP, so it's refreshing to hear. So, yeah. So that was my week, basically, pretty much. Did anyone have anything they wanted to plug at this point, either like a library or anything like that, or just some thoughts that they've had on the industry at the moment, or anything like that?
Not from me, no, unfortunately.
That's cool.
So
I've got one link that I want you all to go on.
Yeah.
I want you all to visit hostamania.com.
Hostamania.
Hostamania.com. This guy will do anything for money.
Okay.
This isn't your thing, Ed, is it?
It's definitely not my thing. If I did...
oh, no.
This is Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the pro wrestler, is doing...
No, is it actual Hulk Hogan?
It really is. The video and stuff is proper him. Yeah, he's put himself down. He's doing web hosting, shared web hosting.
Insane.
I know. And it's like, I love the slogan thing. It's like, what is it? The best leg drop, or something. Leg dropping the competition. It's like, really?
Right. No way.
Yeah.
On the topic of people that do anything for money, have you seen the website Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com? It's absolutely phenomenal, man. Like, you can pay... It's called Fiverr because you can pay people $5 to do pretty much anything you want on there. So
that is insane. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Yeah, so we got someone to record us a rap song for the row, which is pretty terrible, to be honest with us, and he calls us Jewish.
What?
Because you pay your $5 and then you give him like a brief of what you want him to rap about. So we're like, we're doing this thing. We're like 4 British guys, and then for some reason he got British confused with Jewish, so our song has now got 4 Jewish guys in it. But it's wicked though. There's like stuff on there, and you can pay people to do like video presentations and all this kind of stuff, and it's like cool. Some of the stuff that people do for $5 is just insane.
I really wish you'd asked me to do that, Fraser. I've already thought of the start of it. You got yo and ro.
Boom!
Your rap's already. You've wasted money there.
Oh man! So, is that video online now, Fraser? Because I want to see it.
It is just on the. I think it's either on my YouTube or it's on. I don't think it's on the Pacific Rowers website, but I think it's on my YouTube, which is youtube.com/Fraser1980.
I kind of just looking at their technology thing. This is perfect for the discussion we had last week, where people would do anything for a $5. Like really cheap. Like this guy just looked. It says, "I will do your data structure assignment and homework for a $5."
That's ridiculous.
It's pretty bad, isn't it? It's pretty awesome, but yeah, I mean, it's nice to have your skills, But I mean, this is like saying, "Yeah, I'll just do your work," or I'll make your website for a $5. So pretty much, the whole thing you were talking about, Mickey, that pay per hour and stuff. The race to the bottom is pretty much this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great website, though. I love it.
It's incredible. Yeah, well, let's put that in the show notes. I'd love to see that video. That would be good.
Okay.
One thing I was going to say, actually, I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and just by chance, I think I talked about the example of, if you're driving a car, you don't need to know what's under the hood. You just need to know that you can drive it. Well, strangely enough, that one of my lecturers used the exact same example, but he was saying the point that you should. And, this is a point that Lewis was making, that you should understand what's going on underneath if you're going to use it. And it's really important. And he was saying the same thing, that, he doesn't like using other people's frameworks, because he said in his mind, okay, someone's built something that does something for you. Who's to say that you can't go and do it better? We assume that, people who make these frameworks are so much better than we are. They probably are. But the point is, if you don't challenge yourself and try and have a look, how do you know?
Do you know, that's the whole point I was trying to make in the podcast. That's all I was trying to say.
Well, this guy was in complete agreement with you, mate, and he'd been programming for years, and I think, he's like a real expert on concurrency and stuff, so he's saying the same thing, and he just loves playing with algorithms. So, if you enjoy playing with algorithms and doing that kind of stuff, then you definitely. And saying the word algorithm makes it sound complicated, but it doesn't. You should just have a look at other plays, see if you can make it better, make it quicker, whatever. And just when you're learning as well, it's really important. So I thought it was just an interesting one to bring up anyway, just to recap on that.
Yeah, I'm having an absolute whale of a time building this whole thing from scratch, including my framework.
Yeah.
It encompasses everything that I like and have learned since I started developing, like modules in a framework. I don't know if you guys have used that much, but like the HMVC structure.
Yeah.
To me, that's the way forward with it. Rather than having a models, views, and controllers directory where everything gets spread out, you have modules, and inside of each module, you have one model, one models directory, one views directory, and one controllers directory, and then everything is contained, and every module corresponds to a table that's got the same name as the module, and it's just so modularized and nice, and easy to port from one website to another and stuff. It's how I feel it should be done.
I remember I remember you introducing me to that, and I remember looking at some videos and thinking, yeah, Lou's right. This is the way to do it. I can't believe I've not been doing like this for ages.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think I don't know if Zend does this natively, but certainly I think Magento, which uses Zend, it does it in the same way. Like everything is a module, and you have a controller and a model in there. So it's quite interesting. Probably quite an interesting debate for a podcast sometime, actually. So.
It makes so much more sense to me doing it that way.
Yeah.
Looking for a module called, I don't know, jobs, and then inside of that jobs module, I've got my jobs controller and my jobs model, and then all the views related to that, rather than having it all spread out in one single models, views, and controllers directory. And then you have to do so much more, like searching for files and stuff, and then again, if you want to use that stuff in another project, it's more fiddly to port it that way, whereas you can just grab the whole thing if it's in a module.
100%. I think I have one plugin for this week, actually. I'll send you all the link now, actually. But it's googlemapbuilder.mynameisdonald.com, which is nice and easy to remember. Just
epic name.
Rolls off the tongue, but we'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, it's just another kind of tool to try and make Google Maps a little bit easier to play with when you're developing. So
this looks nice.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good. So,
can I, without obviously hitting hard on Google, what do you guys think of the new Gmail setup? Do any of you guys use it?
Is that the one with the tabs now?
Sorry,
all the tabs.
The new Gmail, yeah, because I've been using Gmail for years, and I use it through Google Apps as well for my Fraser Hart email address, and I've not noticed any major changes in a long time.
No, same.
Is it the tabs though? You talk about like the having categories, tabbing, all different.
I just think it's a hell of a lot less user friendly than it used to be.
Yeah,
it might just be me, but
like, is there anything that's come along that's in particular that's made?
No, I don't think so. My main email account is with Hotmail anyway, but I have to have a Gmail account through work. And I used to have another Gmail account. I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and it was just dead similar to using my Hotmail account, and now it's I don't know. I just don't think it's as user friendly. Like it took me. I had to archive an email earlier on, and it just wasn't as straightforward or anything as I thought it would be. This is making me sound really, really stupid now. It wasn't rocket science or anything like that. That wasn't going to be my point at all. I was just wondering if you guys, what your guys' thoughts were, but
No,
it
I
must
think it's
just
pretty
be
cool. Yeah, I really like it. I think the search is really powerful in it as well, because I'm really bad at organising my emails, so they all basically just slink into my inbox, and I don't bother putting them in folders. So if I ever need to find something, I can just very easily find what I need to through the search bar.
Is Hotmail still around then? I thought are they Outlook now?
Is it Live Mail or
Live Mail? They have Live. They have Outlook, because they're just going with names, aren't
Outlook,
they?
yes,
Outlook. It's called Outlook now. Oh dear, Hotmail back in the day.
I take it though.
Rocket Mail. That's where it all was.
The Hotmail addresses are still honoured, though. I take it if you log in with that address, right?
Yeah. They've got like Live. They've got Hotmail, and they've got Outlook as well.
Okay.
And like the different top levels, like .com, .co.uk.
Yeah. Did anyone else
probably sold like the Hotmail domain to some porn company?
That is a very valid point, sir.
Did anyone else have anything they wanted to discuss before we move on to HTML?
I think I'm pretty good, man.
Yeah, I think I'm all good.
Luke?
cool. No, I think my week's just basically been spent writing SQL statements, so
Yeah.
I haven't really been messing around. I mean, SQL Pro is fantastic. I will big that up and say
It is awesome.
rather than
Yes.
PHP my admin, I would say go ahead and use that. But
Yeah, I use that. It's pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah. Open source as well, so.
So one quick thing, right? Do you say SQL or do you say SQL?
Ooh,
I say SQL myself.
SQL.
No, it depends. If it's SQL Pro, I call it SQL Pro, but otherwise SQL.
And you,
It's
Ed Man?
SQL, just a sequel.
Yeah, same.
Who was screaming?
Yeah, I was,
Like my housemates have just been out for a jog and they've come back all excited.
Oh,
nice. Cool. So HTML, I really don't know where to start with this, but maybe just sort of want to say what the abbreviation is and when it started.
This was originally going to be like my topic to discuss, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
you know, I've a couple of weeks back I went through quite a few bits and I've tried to kind of summarize the stuff that I've written down in front of me here. I mean, HTML, CSS, it's not obviously a subject that we need to educate greatly, because I mean it's everyone's bread and butter, isn't it, I suppose. But you know, I went through a bit of HTML5 and CSS stuff and came up with a few things that I thought were interesting, which I thought I'd kind of go through the summary of these notes, and then kind of at the end of that I've just got a couple of like discussion points which I thought might be quite interesting. I don't know how that sounds to you guys, or whether there's anything you wanted to open with. Or...
Take it away, man. That sounds good.
Cool. Okay. Well, the first thing I'll do is I'll obviously define it, because we need to know exactly what it means. But HTML is hypertext markup language, and the best definition I've found is that it is a standardized system for tagging text files to achieve font, color, graphic, and hyperlink effects on World Wide Web pages.
I hate that.
I.e., an HTML file. Yeah, I know, it's quite old now, isn't it? So that's basically the definition of it. You know, we all use HTML every day, so we all know this is like our head tags and our body tags and divs and various things like that. But I've kind of got a summary of a list of some quite cool things that I found that, you know, I never knew about HTML, that I thought I'd run by you guys and see whether you'd heard of these at all.
Sounds good.
Cool. Okay. Number one, you don't actually need to put a closing li tag for a list. If you start another li item, then it will automatically close the last one. Did you guys know that?
I was aware of that, and I read a blog post not too long ago where someone was basically saying that the only people that do that are stupid hipsters.
Yeah,
loving it.
In coffee shops. Yeah.
I'm certainly not, obviously not recommending that people do most of these things. It's just I just thought some of these were quite interesting.
That would still validate then if you were that way inclined to validate your HTML.
Would it validate the doc type and stuff? Because it's not strict XML then, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting because this comes on to a point I have in a minute about how the page actually gets read.
Okay.
All right, I'll skip to that one actually. I assume that the source that I got this from is correct, but you know, obviously, most of the time, if you want to see the source of the page, you right click and you view the source, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
That doesn't always give you a perfectly accurate representation of how the page is being read. If you look at the thing on the page that you're trying to find and you actually inspect the element on it in your console, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but sometimes you get a very different output on there.
Yeah, especially when you're manipulating with jQuery and
yeah, exactly.
when you're manipulating the DOM. So a way you can do that if you do want to view the sources, if you it works in Firefox, but when you select a certain amount of text and you go right click view selection source, that will give you the current rendered HTML as opposed to what was actually served up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's that's got to be far more reliable, then, isn't it? Because that's exactly what's being. But before that, I'd obviously I'd tend to view the source of the page and then search for whatever I need. But there you go. The next point I have written down here is that the meta tags and title tags, you don't actually need to put those in the head because the browser will automatically know where it needs to go. So.
No way.
Really?
Yeah, so it
can actually be at not the root, but like you've got your HTML, then just have title there.
Yeah, you can literally just put them in, and the browser will know where to put them.
And there's no validation errors or anything with that.
No,
to validate that.
When you inspect the element on the page, that's how it comes.
On all browsers, or is that a standard thing? Because that's the trouble, isn't it? It's like all these things, like certain browsers do things certain ways, and they're quite relaxed. And being relaxed is it's nice, but it's also bad because then it brings up these practices of like people then can just exploit it.
I have to admit, most of these things apply to the more modern browsers, but that's what everyone should hopefully be kind of working towards now, isn't it? Rather than still using these older browsers. But this is part of one of my topics for discussion later on. I don't know what you guys think about that, but the whole browser thing. I mean, should we go into that quickly now? I mean, that's one of the things I got, seeing as we come to it. But like, what were your first experiences of discovering that things operate differently in different browsers and stuff like that? Did you even know that this was going to happen before it did?
No, fear, crying, and it's like, I can't believe this. And then you put your face palm, and it's just. Yeah, because you instantly think it's like, I remember the first thing I used Dreamweaver or Front Page, sorry. So that uses the IE engine underneath, Triton or something, or maybe that's the JavaScript engine. But anyway, it uses the IE engine underneath. So anything I was developing, I was either using the code bit in there, the preview in there, or maybe the WYSIWYG part of it. And I was like, oh, this is brilliant. It looks fine and stuff. Maybe doing a bit of position absolutes and stuff like that. Thinking, the boss. And then I would go into another browser. Maybe at the time it would be AOL's own browser, which was great. And I would look and I'd be like, what is going on? You'd upload it, you push it, FTP it up, you're like, this is completely different. And then that was when you started realising there were different browsers, Netscape at the time and all this, and they would all do things slightly different, and it would make you cry.
Absolutely. I think we touched on it yesterday as well, like this project that I've been working on, it was only like last week that I finally decided to open it in IE, because I develop in Firefox primarily, and then I'll chuck it in Chrome every now and again as well, but just because I love Firebug on Firefox. And I've been working on this project for 6 months. It was like, okay, finally gonna, see if it works in IE, and it didn't. It was like, and I touched on it briefly last week, but it's one of these things like you never really, or I've just maybe a bad practice that I do, but I very rarely test in specifically, or very rarely test in IE until it has to go live, and that's. Well, it definitely is a fault on my part, because then I do get situations like I had last week, and it can be quite painful.
I think the problem is you'd never get to the end of your project though if you were doing that constantly, would you? I mean, I'm the same. I just build it and I get to the end of it, and then I worry about that stuff at the end.
Yeah,
I kind of do. So Selenium's a good way of doing that. It would be, but I don't think it works with IE. But the way I do it is I like every hour or so I then go stop development, which is kind of hard sometimes. You're in like the flow. I stop development, and then I go and check in all the browsers that I need, because then, and if I do find something wrong, I just make a note of it. I may not fix it there and then, but I'll be like aware that maybe IE's having some problems and stuff. But it's always that hard to work out what browsers you should support or want to support, or what the client wants, because the client wants, I want a website. It's like, well, do you want a website that works all the way back to IE6, or do you want a website that works to IE7?
Yeah.
Do you want to use some of the cool stuff? Because it's going to it's going to be a lot more time and more effort for me to use polyfills and JavaScript stuff to emulate effects that you could get in new modern browsers, because obviously they think that once you make, like we did naively when we were younger, you make a website, it's going to look the same on everything.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember the days as well when you wanted to do rounded corners on a box and you had to do like cut out little corners on everything?
Those were epic.
Yeah, especially in the table days as well, where you'd have to like create a table with like three cells at the top, and then 3 cells for the content, and then 3 cells for the bottom. And it was, oh god, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Do you guys have you encountered any tools that kind of help you debug as you go, or do you actually use anything, or is it literally just a case of you all use like virtual machines and just look at the end?
Yeah,
there are some tools out there where you can actually like load up 1 million screenshots, aren't there, and you can actually look at what's going on. But
I did see a tool that I haven't actually had a chance to play with, but it's a tool that it's quite clever in that it will check in the background when you're running the thing. It will check to see any major changes in like positioning of things.
Okay.
So like maybe one time you're doing something and it will load up IE and it will check to see, is this similar to what it looked like before? Maybe and it will just warn you saying, by the way, this is all falling down. Maybe a position absolute's gone a bit askew and stuff like that. So kind of automated testing in that way to kind of just give you an idea to say, oh, maybe you want to check this to see what's wrong with it.
That sounds pretty cool. That sounds really. What was the name of that? Oh, see, is that what you just posted there? The CS.
Oh no,
Sorry,
I need to work out what that is.
Okay,
I'll have a little looky and see how I put it in the show notes.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool. Yeah, because my way of doing it is I'm on virtual machines now. I used to do it on this bit of software called IE Tester, which is it's great in principle, but it's just buggy as hell, and it's just more effort than it's worth. So
it's JavaScript stuff is so annoying, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because you get like one little JavaScript error or something that it doesn't understand, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to work in an actual version of IE, but it's just like it pops up error message after error message, and you can't get rid of it, and you just end up having to right click and forcing it to quit. So I've just got a load of VMs loaded up on an external hard drive and just plug those in through VirtualBox and just fire it all through there.
That's how I do it. I just want to say I did test all these things that I wrote down before, but I thought I'd better just double check that last point about where about the browser knowing where all the tags should go.
Yeah.
I've just literally opened up a blank HTML page, and all I've put in it a title tag saying hello, and then a p tag saying hello. Yeah. And I've opened it up in the browser, and I've inspected it in the console, and everything's gone exactly where it should go.
Sweet. I suppose it's one of those cool things, but then probably in practice maybe don't.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever recommend. No, I definitely wouldn't ever recommend doing it. But it is maybe, I don't know, it's another line of debugging if something's not right or something, rather than looking at the source of your page, look at it in the console to actually see exactly what's going on the page, I would say.
I do find that when browsers fix things for you, I think that can be more of a hindrance than anything else, because it's
escalating the problem, isn't it, really? Because it's like saying, oh, it's all right to do it that way. And it's like, oh, no, because you're not fixing it. It's not saying no.
And then you go to the next browser and that doesn't fix it for you, and it just looks awful. But I remember back in the day, though, like before we had VMs and stuff, or even when we had VMs and I was too lazy to use them, like I remember using IE Tester.
Yeah.
That was pretty horrendous, but it did a good job, to be fair. It was quite a good tool for the IE testing, I found. But you're right, it's getting into that habit of checking it every hour or so.
Yeah. I mean, you do it once you get a bit, or sort of not aiming this at you guys, but people that are listening that are kind of up and coming and stuff that are worrying about all this kind of stuff. As you get experience with using different browsers and all the issues that you'll come across, you'll naturally start to develop in a way that you don't get the issues anyway. So the number of issues that I get on a job these days is way less than when I first started out. So it's kind of like minor tweaks that I have to do.
It's usually things like floats, isn't it? And stuff like that
and margin and
yeah.
Oh, the padding, the box padding in IE. The fact that they do it a different way. Yeah, that's a whole fun one.
Mm. Are you guys using box size in border box at all at the moment?
Yes,
it's not
I love
supported. It's the greatest thing ever. So good. Have you two guys used it?
No, what's this? Sorry,
I haven't. I know
phenomenal.
what it's about,
like, do you know when you're like constantly trying to work, well, not constantly, but when you've got like a percentage width div and then you want to put a padding in there, but you want the padding to be the same no matter how wide the div is, kind of thing. So you're kind of like weighing up the options between, this has to be a 50% wide div, but it needs to have a 10 pixel padding on the inside. And then if you want to have two of those next to each other, then that's not going to work because the padding is going to force the 50% a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So if there's a CSS rule, which is box size, and if you set that to border box on everything, I do that on everything now. So the first thing I put in a CSS sheet is like star, just to select everything, and then box size and border box, because then you can do 50%, and it will take the padding from the inside or from the actual width, so you don't have to. It's not like 50% width plus the padding. Which is just
it's the way it should be, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that CSS 3 pi thing, I think that helps it. The thing that Mickey was just posted in Skype.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember using CS3 Pi, but I can't remember what it does or how it helps you. But
it's just a thing that gives older browsers the ability to use modern CSS selectors.
Yeah, I think stuff like gradients and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it helps. It allows you to do like the box shadows, gradients. It allows you to do the rounded corners in IE. Older versions of IE, and it actually uses like HTC, like a format that only IE uses to actually support that, which is kind of cool, because at least then you can be like coding in the way that you want to code, but then just having this, and maybe one day when they don't want to support, you won't have to load it all up and everything.
Yep.
The only thing I can't see on there is opacity.
That should be native.
Box shadow, linear gradient. And with the older browsers, you can't just use opacity, can you?
Yeah.
So rather than doing that, I don't know about you guys, but I just have like a standard like white and black transparent PNG that I use as a background for that, just so I don't have to do the inevitable for the older browsers. And I know then once that's in there, that's job done. I just use that anytime I need anything that's any kind of opacity.
No, my general way of doing opaque backgrounds is just make IE7 and IE8, I think, just make them have a solid background, and then just use RGBAs for browsers that support it. So specify like a black background, then after that specify an RGBA, and the older browsers will ignore the RGBA because they don't understand it, and they'll just revert back to a black background. Yeah,
absolutely. Right, okay, moving on then. The next part is HTML5 tags. Which isn't the most exciting topic, so I'm not going to waffle on about what all they are. I mean, there's a side article section and various other ones. I do have a website here that people can look at which explains what they all do, and that is whatwg.org. And that there you can get a quite a good explanation of what each tags are used for.
And I guess the purpose of HTML of the new HTML5 tags is so it can describe to dumb readers like websites and what have you where the important content is, and it's kind of, is it the semantic web they call it, where it's kind of like it's the tags describe what the content is, so it's like saying this is the important bit and this is the bit that you can ignore. Whereas if you were to just do everything in divs, well, Google goes to your web page and it sees a div up here with a load of news items in it, and then a div here which is actually your body of your text, and it can't differentiate then between what's actually the bulk of the page and what's the actual main content, and what's the news stories that are going to appear on every page, and what this comment that someone's put down the bottom. So it's about kind of differentiating your content from your crap, essentially, like not your crap like your comments, but your stuff that's irrelevant.
Meaningful stuff gets you. And I think that's like the thing, because it's like the whole thing with separation of concerns with like, in the old days, in HTML 4.0 and 4.1, I'm sure you all did it like me. You use like font tags and stuff to style things, which isn't really, it's the presentation. It's, as you say, it should be helping describe the content of the page, and the presentation should be going in the CSS, which I'm sure we'll talk about in another episode. And so separating those two concerns is a really good thing, because in theory, the nice idea then would be saying, well, you could then use this document, which is all it is. It's a document that gets passed into the document object model, but you can use this document and maybe style it up a completely different way, which I think there's that whole CSS Zen garden, isn't there, to see how powerful you can just
there
hit this
is
one document.
That's wicked, that website.
What's this one? I've not heard of this either.
Is it CSS Zen garden or something? It's a gallery of the ways that people have styled the same piece of HTML up.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, as you say, most of them are semantic, but I have actually identified a couple that actually have practical uses. One of them is very cool. Have any of you guys heard of details tag? Of the details tag? No. So basically, say you're working on a page and you just need some simple show and hide functionality. I mean, my normal go-to for that is to just use jQuery toggle. I don't know if you guys do. Yeah. So you guys use, I don't know, CSS3 animations or anything like that to do it.
I use a lot of transitions. But
what am I talking about?
Yeah, I've not done many straight-up animations with CSS.
Oh, right, okay. Well, basically, there's an HTML5 tag called details, And basically, what you do, so you open and close your details tags, and inside of that, you have another tag, open and close a tag called summary.
Okay.
So, like in between your summary tags, you could put click to show hidden content, and then underneath, like in P tags, this is the hidden content. And then basically, when you click on that, on the click to show hidden content, it shows and hides it. So you can show and hide stuff through HTML code.
Pretty cool.
That is very. Does it look the same on each browser, or do they have a little bit different? Because that's kind of like the browsers get to choose what it looks like. Don't they?
It works as I would expect it to on Chrome. That's the only thing I've looked at. Everything that I've looked at on here has been looked at on Chrome. This is part of another discussion point later on. Like, how likely are you to use these new things that come out, knowing that they're not fully supported? Because I've certainly got my own kind of stance on that, and I don't know. I mean, my stance is that if something degrades nicely, or you don't really happen to notice the difference much, then obviously go for it. But I'd really like something to be well supported in everything that it needs to be used on. Which obviously, there's still some new features in CSS3 and HTML5 area which just aren't supported on all of those. So I do find myself just sticking to the classic divs and the tried and tested things there, from where I must have built 20 to 30 websites, I guess. The things that I've learned that work across all browsers there. I'm kind of loath to try some of these new things because I know that sooner or later down the line I'm going to be debugging it for Internet Explorer or some other browser because it's not supported.
Well, you can. The HTML5, you've got like a shiv for it, haven't you? It just allows you then to be able to style these things, like, because in older browsers they don't take them as tags, but you can then style them, like the article tag. So I do use stuff like that, and then like the navigation tag's pretty useful, but really only for styling, and just because again it's describing what the content is and helping the content. And the trouble with divs is, as I say, like, divs are very cool because you could just do anything with a div, but it doesn't actually have any meaning.
No, I mean I suppose that's where the art of obviously hopefully naming your classes with something meaningful. But I must admit, I don't take advantage of HTML5 tags at the moment as much as I possibly should. Do you guys? I know you do, Ed. Obviously, Mike and Fraser. Do you exclusively kind of go with this stuff, or
I generally do, to be honest with you. But it's obviously you need to be mindful of what's going to happen further on down the crappy browser stack anyway. But there are certain workarounds. Like I think Ed kind of touched on it. There's certain stuff that you can do that will make article tags and it will make nav tags work and be stylable in the older browsers. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what they are, but I know there's one where you just have to specify them in your CSS, and there's another way you have to declare them as, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's all in HTML5 boilerplate anyway, so I just chuck it all on top of there.
That's actually a good thing we should say. HTML5 boilerplate is the best place to go to learn and understand these things.
Yeah. I've got that on my screen right now. It's exactly what I was just going to say, to be honest with you. Especially like the custom build as well. You can pick which bits you want. Stuff really nice.
That's cool. So you can actually just choose the little areas, and it will give you like a custom build.
I hope so, because that's how I remember it. I'm just looking now. I'm pretty sure that is how it works, isn't it? Yeah, you can. You can select all different little bits. You've got fine tuning, so you can select what polyfills you want. If you want the development minified version jQuery, all that kind of stuff, you can pick all that kind of that stuff.
Yeah.
So
one other thing,
it might be worth now.
Oh, sorry.
Now we're talking about HTML5. It might be worth, just because I know the first time I heard HTML5, I was like, oh crap! I just don't not just learn, but I know HTML now. I've got to learn something else. Like HTML5 is the term that gets branded around and thrown around everywhere. Is people generally refer to HTML5 with CSS3 and with JavaScript or JavaScript stroke jQuery. Obviously, those two are pretty much combined things. When I first heard it, I was like, oh crap, now I've got to learn something new, but you don't. It's HTML4 or HTML or XHTML, whatever you know at the moment, with a little bit more on top, so a little bit more
relaxed as well, isn't it? They've kind of gone, it's like XHTML, that whole go down, let's be XML compliant, everything has to have a closing tag, BR / and close it off like that. Nowadays it's just what really people are using. I mean, like, it doesn't even have a doc type. That's the beautiful thing. Everyone's like, it doesn't even have a doc type. But because doc types never really are used, really. Like, I know I'm sure you put them in like the XML, XHTML doc type, the HTML4 doc type, and they just they just specify a DDD, which is a definition, document definition language, type language, definition thing, and all that does is say what's valid for this page. But nowadays, as long as it's compliant to the HTML standards we got, there isn't really a version anymore. So HTML is just this kind of weird thing where you can kind of be very relaxed or very strict, but at the same, because I mean, I'm sure you've all used the validators.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I always wanted to see that tick. I remember back at university, it was like you had to make it compliant with XHTML because our lecturer loved it. And it was like if the page wasn't, ticked, had a tick. And it was for the most stupid reasons, Sometimes it's actually a detriment to what you want to do with the actual thing. But if you didn't have a tick, you'd actually not fail the course, but be marked down, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and there'll be job, like if anyone out there is looking for work and stuff as well, like pretty much every job posting you'll see will say, "Oh, we need people with HTML5 and CSS3," and at the end of the day, if you know HTML and CSS, you can apply for that job. Don't be put off by the fact that it says HTML5. Like 9 times out of 10, the people that write these job descriptions don't know what they're talking about anyway.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just going to say as well, I know I'll get absolutely shot for saying this again, but for me, like if you want to look at all the features of HTML5, especially things like Canvas and like drag and drop, all that kind of stuff.
Visit Doug's blog.
No, definitely do not do that. W3schools.com.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I have to
We've
say
been given so much flack for talking about that.
But actually, it gives a really good summary of what's included there. So, you know what, I'm just going to say it. Check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it also if you class yourself more as a front end than back end developer, I guess you probably have a slightly different approach to how you implement some of these things. I don't know. I don't see the difference. Like if it was a back end piece of code, obviously you test it. A lot of the part of back end programming is testing. So you don't use anything until it's been fully tested and you know that it's going to work and everything like that. So I do wonder a lot of the time why a lot of these things become available, like with HTML5 and CSS3, that don't work wherever you need them to work. I don't know. Again, that's probably one of my very unique perspectives that I have. But if you're going to bring out a feature, why not make sure it fully works rather than say, "Oh, well, you can use it here, but you can't use it here."
It's because of the standard, isn't it? It's because people. Because do you remember? I'm sure you've known the blinker marquee tags. You remember that? They were IE. HTML kind of stagnated after the browsers kind of stagnated after IE6, and that's why it's a big point, like a big part of it. About 2002, they kind of thought, "Oh, well, that's the web. We've done it now." Tim Berners-Lee started it off in 1991, and now we're done. Then what happened was, people wanted to start adding things, and the way they would add it, and even in the wars with the Netscape and IE back in the mid-90s, they would just add their own features, and they still do now, as you say, like their own implementation of stuff, because standards are so slow. Like HTML wasn't a standard till like 1997, and it's ridiculous to think that people were using it before, and we do, and we have to use it because we want to use it. But and that's the thing. Like the standards go so slow. I mean, I've read an article saying like HTML5, like from 2005, they were talking about the doc type for HTML5, and now we're really just using it, which is insane.
I've said this so many times before, though, but I honestly think this is the curse of the web developer: is that we don't control the ultimate software that interprets what we write. If we didn't make Chrome, we didn't make Internet Explorer, and we have to make it cater to all those different things. If you're making desktop applications, you know exactly how it's going to render when it pops up. But yeah, we're always going to have this problem until, forever, right? I can't imagine.
More so with like the amount of devices and stuff. TVs, have web browsers on now, everything. And I mean, the only way you can do it again is the way they're doing it is like with responsive stuff like that. And I mean, really, it's just try your best is the sense. I mean, you could say in the desktop game really as well, in the sense like, what operating system they need, what resolution they need and stuff. But because the web is so diverse and it's such a buzz thing, people, you hit your head, you face palm again. Pretty much every day with a certain little small niggly thing.
Yeah.
The hour's come up pretty quick.
I was going to say, I mean, I guess you've still got quite a lot of content to talk about, and I know Ed's got quite a lot of notes as well. Maybe this is a two-parter.
I think that'd be a good idea. On a side note, I've just tweeted at Hulk Hogan to see if he wants to come on the podcast.
Brilliant! I got a retweet. Because one of my mates, one of my good mates, he tweeted me, and then that link, and I just tweeted it out saying I can't believe this is real, and then I got a retweet from the Hostomania thing. So you may get in contact with the Hulk. You know?
That'd be pretty awesome. I'd also, before we disappear, I'd also like to say thank you to the chap that we've been chatting to on Twitter, Martin Mason or Mason. So I'm really bad at names. So yeah, thanks for getting in touch and let us know what you think of the show. Anyway, it's really appreciated.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's great.
Yeah, had a few messages last Friday, I think, from people saying keep up the good work and stuff. So that was good.
Yeah, so you seem to be liking what we're doing, unless you're a Reddit user, in which case, your opinion
doesn't matter.
Your opinion doesn't matter anyway. I'm not.
Ed, I was going to say, I just noticed on Twitter you had a pick for free devs as well. I think it's like a plugin or something, a JS plugin. Does that ring any bells?
I did put on some stuff just where it was what we talked about at the beginning. I kind of put it out just at the beginning, like the welcome bit. The fallback and stuff like that.
Yeah,
those were the ones that.
Okay.
Fallback and head.js is another one which is quite cool.
No worries. Okay. Well,
can I just mention another guy that tweeted me last week? I'm just literally trawling down my timeline trying to find
a shout out section. I think shout out section. We just say thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, thank you very much to a guy called Geeky Goon. At Geeky Goon.
Oh, he followed me as well. Boom.
Yeah. What was his? I think he sent me 2 tweets. I can't find the first one, but the second one was can't wait to hear your upcoming podcast. We need more podcasts for us devs. Awesome. So that was cool. He's got a brilliant website and it looks like quite an intelligent bloke. So definitely probably worth a follow to anyone on Twitter. If you're interested in this stuff, obviously. But yeah, so thanks to you for your tweet there as well.
Yeah, thanks. We always welcome feedback, so keep it coming. It'd be really good, and let us know what you want to hear about, and we'll try and cover it in future podcasts. I just found that tweet from you, Ed. I think it was what you were talking about, that fallback thing, headjs.com.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, we'll put that in the show notes as well, and I think that's a wrap. So thanks again, everyone, for listening, and we'll be back next week, and we will discuss a little bit more about HTML. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.